Ryan, how are you?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy that we're doing this in person and not over a Zoom call.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot better that way. It feels a little weird when it's like you have to look in the camera the entire time versus I can look over and like actually talk to you. So.
Absolutely, dude. Man, so less than 2 weeks away. How you feeling?
I feel great. Just got done doing some training with my brother. And then we were upstairs last night. We're upstairs this morning. We're gonna do some, cardio, strength conditioning at 3 o'clock. Get some recovery in. I feel great. I feel really good. I feel 100% healthy. So going into this next fight, I feel like I'm gonna be a lot more dominant than I have in the past.
Man, it's been a minute since you fought. What's been going on?
Just working and training. Just work, train. That's all I ever do nowadays.
You were supposed to fight Blood Diamond 2 other times.
Yep.
Can you tell the people what happened with those scheduling matchups?
Yeah, so the first time I ended up getting COVID, both my wife and I, and then the whole entire family got COVID during January, late December, and it took me out for about a good 2 weeks. It just felt like a non-stop body cold with a flu. So like the first, I want to say 5 days, felt like a really bad flu. So I just made sure to stay home, try to go outside and get some fresh air when I could, get a lot of recovery, drink a lot of broth, stuff like that. But when I started training more and more, it got to the point where it made it even harder because then I would be out for like 2 to 3 days. And I know a lot of like other athletes, when they were training after recovering from COVID, they had the same thing. They said they would be out for like almost a week at a time. They trained once and then they'd be like sore, like physically and mentally for like 3 days. So I just told myself, push myself back into it however I could, and then it just got to the point where the UFC said, hey, let's rebook it for another time. So we did, and then the last time around was supposed to be obviously in Singapore, and I think my brother prayed a little bit too hard because that fight got canceled, Blood Diamond got injured, but I'm hoping third time's the charm.
Me too. All the fans are hoping for that, man. I did want to talk about your last fight. It's your first professional loss. I always find it fascinating how professional athletes deal with their first professional loss. So what were the emotions like after that night?
Fuck, it sucks, but I wasn't too beat up about it. Like, I went out there, I had the people at the PI trying to work on a muscle contusion that was pinching a nerve in my right arm like 2 days before, the day before, and that needle and thread does not feel good, but it is what it is. Even with the missed weight cut, I don't really care about that. It was only 2.5, 3 pounds. A lot of my family, they wanted me to be upset about it. They're all, no, he missed weight, you took a low blow. It's like, he didn't mean to miss weight. He didn't mean to give me that. It's like, he was just a better fighter in that second round. He caught me, and then, I had to change my game plan up, and unfortunately, it didn't work out in my favor, worked out in his. And then after I rewatched it, I realized, man, I had him hurt a couple of times too. So it was a fun fight, even though I lost. I definitely wish I could take back that loss, but I can't. So I just had to keep moving forward. And when fucking shit happens, you just have to keep moving on. So that's the way I look forward to this one. Is a lot of great champions in the UFC started the UFC with a debut loss, and they have all come back to become champions. So I look forward to doing the same thing.
What'd you learn from that fight?
Learn not to think about my arm next time. No, so all my previous fights, I never think. So I would just keep going and going and going, and at the end of that first round, I just kept thinking about my arm too much. And I just kept thinking while I was out there. So even when I had him on the cage, I could hear his corner saying, "Don't let him take you down." My brother saying, "Hey, take that motherfucker down." It was weird. It was honestly weird because I wasn't really thinking about the takedown. I was thinking hey, can my right arm maintain this position for much longer? So going into future fights, I'm just telling myself, go back. If anything's wrong, don't even think about it. Just keep fighting. You can think about it when the fight's done. But with the way it happened, I think it's going to make me a better athlete.
It's unfortunate that both you and your brother lost your debuts, but they were both badass fights. They were both entertaining fights.
Yeah, had a lot of people trying to be the trolls on the internet, but there was a lot of support. A lot of people saying, dude, you put on a great performance. It was a great fight. You just got caught. That's all it was. And it's like, I don't want to take away from Phil's performance either. He came back after that first round, and he was able to get me. So it is what it is. And then same with my brother. He had a great first round, and then both his shoulders went out in that first round. So it's just very unfortunate debuts, but we look forward to competing and putting on great performances for me in Dallas, and then him here in Vegas in September, and hopefully continue to be able to do that further and further.
Do you want to fight on the same card as your brother again?
Fuck yeah, I do. So if everything goes right, I'm going to talk to the UFC about getting me on that September 17th card.
Oh, fantastic,
So
fantastic.
we'll see what happens.
Well, let's talk about it, man. Blood Diamond. What do you think of him as an opponent?
I think very highly of him. He's a very well-decorated striker from where he is. I don't know, because there's a couple of different websites that have a couple of different records. I have people sending me shit all the time, so I just tell them, I'm like, yeah, I get it. He's a very well-decorated striker, and he is, but I could tell that he needs to work on his wrestling and his ground game a lot. I know that he has one submission win, I believe, in like a Asian circuit, but I haven't been able to see any of his other fights. The only fight I've only been able to see of his was against Jeremiah Wells, and that's not really much to go off of. So I expect him to come out, trying to get the knockout, swing hard, and try to keep the fight standing the best he can. So I definitely respect his striking, though. He definitely has that power to knock out anybody as long as he's able to keep it on the feet. I definitely recommend him to be ready for me to come out striking and, grappling as well, though, because I try to mix it all up together. So
is the fight as simply as you use your wrestling, take him down, and finish him?
I don't know, because we don't know exactly how much better he's done at his wrestling. I mean, I've been wrestling my whole entire life, so he's probably, his game plan might be, hey, just don't let him get into dominant positions, be able to hold him like in guard or half guard. Don't let him pass, and wait until we can find a way to stand the fight back up. But I wouldn't be able to tell you honestly. I don't know what his game plan is. Besides, I'm pretty sure he's going to want to try to keep the fight standing however possible. And their corner is probably thinking, hey, he's going to only try to get this fight to the ground. But honestly, I'll have the fight standing or on the ground, wherever I see more feasible for the win.
Why do you think the UFC has held this matchup together? Like, they could have easily rebooked you guys, but they've kept this matchup ready to go.
Because he's a guy that's going to come out, try to get the knockout, and they know I'm a guy who's going to go and fucking not care about the fans, but put on a performance for myself. I don't care what people think. I just like fighting. It's so fun, and then pretty sure because of that Contender Series fight, they know I'm not going to quit. Like, even if I do end up losing the first round, I'm the kind of guy who will come back and, pressure to win the second, win in the third. And I'm the kind of guy who says, fuck the judges. I hate all the judges. They're stupid. They're dumb. So this fight's not going to go to a 3-round decision. I won't let it. He's not going to try to let it, so everyone should be expecting to finish it. I think that's why they're going to try to keep this fight.
With all that being said, at the end of the day, UFC 277, how do you get your hand raised?
I feel like I finish him. Just because I don't want to win by a decision, so I'm going to do whatever it takes to try to finish him. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I believe I have everything it takes to finish him, so.
Awesome, man. I just want to know, I know we've talked about it before, man. You love being active, you love fighting. How frustrating has it been to have that long layoff before your debut and then this long debut after your debut?
It's the absolute worst. It is the absolute worst. I'm the kind of guy who's used to fighting every couple of months or every couple of weeks. So, like I said, hopefully all goes well in this fight, and then game plan, go out there, get a fast finish, or get a finish whatever round it takes, and then try to get another fight quickly after. So I want to try to get at least a couple of fights before the year end, and then maybe take a little bit of a break. But I definitely want to at least fight 3 or 4 times.
Do you think all these injuries have just come from, like you said, you've been wrestling since you've come out of the womb, basically?
Years and years of training. I mean, I was the kind of kid who played so many different sports, and we grew up poor, so if I did have an injury, we kind of just said, hey, just recover at home. So I think it's just the accumulation of years and years of wear and tear, but I definitely, have a lot of help here, being able to be in Vegas, go to the PI, and then just even back in Sacramento, I have a lot of recovery aspects there as well.
Your brother's fighting next month. How do you see his fight going?
September 17th against Giles, I believe it is. I think Lewis has to knock out.
And then finally, man, I wanted to ask about Josh Emmett, teammate. Why do you think he should get the next title shot, correct?
I believe so. I mean, he's on a 5-fight win streak, and it's nothing against Yair. Yair had a very tough loss to Max, and then he just had a very, I can't say controversial, because he was going for the armbar, and then because he was holding it so tight, when Ortega tried to pull out of it, that pretty much did cause the shoulder to dislocate. But I feel like either you have Emmett because of who he's being get the title shot, or you do have to set up Yair versus Emmett. So no matter what, Emmett should be in contention for either the #1 title shot or for a title shot. It just depends on what the UFC wants to do with Volkanovski, because Volkanovski at this point, he's allowed to do whatever the hell he wants to do. He's champion for a reason. He's beat everybody pretty dominantly, except for the first and the second fight with Max. But that third fight with Max, he was dominant. His fight with Ortega, he was dominant. There was only 2 positions where he almost got finished, but other than that, very dominant. Zombie, I mean, I grew up, that was one of my favorite fighters growing up, so that was a pretty tough one to watch. And overall, Volkanovski's just been a monster in that weight division, so if he wants to bump up to 155 and fight for, the title at that weight class, while Emmett and Rodriguez fight for, #1 contender, that'd be great, but I don't think they should do an interim for it. But I heard there's, if you fight for an interim, you get a little bit, better incentives on the contract, so for Emmett's sake, I definitely hope it is that way, because he deserves it. He definitely deserves it.
Absolutely. I did want to get your opinion on the 2 Marvel movies that have just come out, Thor and Doctor Strange. What do you think of them?
Doctor Strange is pretty badass. I thought it could be a little bit better in certain areas. They definitely hyped it up to be this whole entire massive merger movie. I'm kind of glad it wasn't. I definitely wanted to see a little bit more, but I definitely love how brutal it was. We got to see a little bit more realistic Marvel aspects for a dark Marvel movie. And then Thor: Love and Thunder was okay. It was more comedic than anything, so I definitely laughed a lot, but I felt like the action could have been better. There was a lot of Christian Bale played Gore pretty well, but I feel like Gore could have been a lot darker of a character, and I'm just wondering what they're going to do with the All Black, just because the way he found the sword doesn't line up really with the comic, which is okay. It doesn't have to line up with the comics. But if you're going to toss that in there, then you better be ready to bring Noel. And, hopefully Secret Wars and Secret Invasion brings it in to where it's we have the whole entire Spider-Verse coming in and all that other stuff. But we'll see what happens.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Awesome.
I really appreciate it. You want to plug your social media, plug any sponsors you got, you want to thank anybody? The floor is yours.
Yes, I definitely want to thank all my brother first and foremost for being able to train with him whenever you can. But I definitely want to thank my wife more than anyone, because she's always helping me with my diet, my nutrition, and all that stuff. Especially when I'm at home tired, can't cook, she'll cook for me. Give me a massage when I'm not able to go at a certain time to get a massage. So that definitely helps out. Thank all my teammates, Alpha Male, Lost Boys, people at the PI for the recovery. Ezra from my striking, and then Bill from my strength and conditioning. Let's see, who else? Definitely got to thank Lewis of Get Right. He definitely helps out with me and Lewis a lot, supports us. Always wanted to back in the day, and he's been doing what he can to help take care of us a lot more. And then just anyone else who's giving their love to all the fans and friends, family that support us. Thank you guys so much for everything. And then obviously to the UFC as well. Thank you for even it's been quite a bit since we've had our second fights, but we look forward to going out and putting on dominant performances and proving that we belong.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.